Jack Carter never expected to win. He was just playing around, clicking buttons on a late-night auction site. The old spaceship listing looked like a joke. Loris photos. No real info. And only one blurry image showing half a haul. Probably junk, he muttered, sipping cold coffee, still. He placed a tiny bid of 1,200 credits, then forgot about it and went to bed. But the next morning, his inbox had one message blinking bright. "Congratulations, you won." Jack stared at the screen, blinking twice. Wait, what? The ship had been stored in an abandoned hangar at the edge of Sector 9. No one had claimed it for decades, and no one had dared open it either. Rumors said it was cursed. Others claimed it came from outside the known galaxy. Jack, a junkyard mechanic, didn't believe in curses. He believed in broken parts, rusted bolts, and selling metal by the kilo. So he grabbed his old hover truck, loaded up his tools, and drove straight to the hangar. The moment he stepped inside, he froze. There it was. The ship looked ancient, but intact. Sleek lines, smooth black surface, and strange blue markings that pulsed softly like a heartbeat. It didn't look like anything built by human hands. He walked around it slowly, eyes wide. No registration code. No blast marks. "What the hell are you?" he whispered. At the back, he found a sealed hatch. It was smooth, with no visible handle or lock. Jack placed his hand on it, and to his shock, the door opened with a hiss. Inside was pitch black and freezing cold. He turned on his flashlight and stepped in. Dust floated in the air, and everything looked untouched, almost too clean. There were alien symbols on the walls, wires wrapped like vines, and strange crystals glowing faintly in corners. Then, in the center of the ship, he saw it, a glass pod, and inside it, a woman. She wasn't human. Her skin was a pale silver blue, glowing softly in the dark. Her long hair floated inside the stasis fluid, moving like silk underwater. Her eyes were closed, her hands resting on her chest. She looked peaceful, almost sleeping. Jack stepped closer, heart pounding. What the hell is this? Suddenly, his flashlight flickered and died. The ship's floor rumbled under his feet. The pod beeped once, then started to hum. No, don't wake up. I didn't touch anything. Jack backed away, but the pod glowed brighter. The liquid inside drained, steam rising into the air. With a soft click, the glass lid lifted. The woman gasped. Her eyes opened wide. Glowing silver like stars, she sat up fast, looked around in confusion, then locked eyes with Jack. He raised both hands, trying to show he meant no harm. "Easy, lady. I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. But she didn't run. She didn't scream. Instead, she slid off the pod and landed silently on the floor. She looked around, then knelt before Jack Owner. She whispered. Her voice was soft, musical, but the words sent chills down his spine. What? Jack blinked, stepping back. The woman gently reached for his hand, pressed it to her chest. A symbol lit up on her skin, bright gold and glowing with energy. She smiled, her eyes full of relief. "You have freed me," she said slowly. Her accent thick but clear. "I am yours." Jack's jaw dropped. "Wait, no, I didn't free anyone. I just bought a spaceship." But the ship's walls began to light up. One by one, panels came alive. Glowing lines moving like rivers along the walls. The ship responded to her, or maybe to him through her. Jack stumbled backward, nearly tripping. The woman stood up now. Tall and graceful, she looked around like someone who hadn't seen freedom in years. "What's your name?" Jack asked, voice shaking. She paused, placing a hand on her chest. "Soraya," she answered. Then she looked up at him, eyes full of trust. "And you are my master now?" Jack's head spun. He had just wanted spare parts, maybe a cool engine or alien scrap, but instead, he had a ship that was alive, and a woman inside who thought she belonged to him. He didn't know it yet, but that one bid would change everything, not just for him, but for the entire galaxy. Jack didn't sleep that night. He sat on an old oil drum in his garage, staring at the alien woman curled up in the corner like a cat. Soraya, she had called herself. She was fast asleep on a pile of old jackets, glowing faintly under the dim workshop light. He still couldn't believe it. He had bought a broken ship, not knowing it held a living, breathing alien woman. And now she believed he owned her. He looked at the strange glowing mark on his palm, the one that appeared when she pressed his hand to her chest. It hadn't faded. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. What the hell did I get myself into? He muttered. At sunrise, Soraya opened her eyes, the moment she saw Jack. She sat up straight and bowed her head. Master, she said softly. Jack stood up quickly and waved his hands. No, 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 don't call me that, okay? My name is Jack. She looked confused. I do not understand, she said, tilting her head. You have claimed me, yes? I didn't claim anyone, Jack said, trying not to sound too loud. I bought a ship, and you were. Inside, Soraya lowered her eyes, her voice trembling. I was sealed in the ship. Sold with it, as per contract. Contract? Jack asked, eyebrows rising. You mean, someone put you in there and sold the ship on purpose? She nodded slowly. I am a bond servant, she said. My creators made me for service and loyalty, till the mark fades. She gently pointed to the glowing symbol on his palm. When it vanishes, I will be free. But until then, I am yours. Jack's stomach twisted. He was no hero, but he wasn't a monster either. He never wanted to own anyone. He looked at Soraya. She wasn't acting like a prisoner, but more like someone grateful to be claimed. Listen, Jack said, sitting down beside her. I don't want a servant. And I definitely don't want a slave. I'm just a guy who fixes junk. I'll help you get wherever you need to go, and then you're free, all right? Soraya's face softened. Her eyes shimmered with something strange. Was it hope? No one has ever said that before, she whispered. No one ever wanted me to be free. She stood and moved closer to him, slowly, like a deer testing the air. Then she did something Jack didn't expect. She knelt again, but this time placed her hand on his chest. I do not understand Earth's customs, she said, but if your heart is kind, then I will follow it. Even if I am free, Jack didn't know what to say. The workshop fell silent, except for the hum of an old fan. Then the silence was broken by a sharp beeping sound from his cum screen. An alert. He walked over and tapped it. Inbound signal. Detected coordinates locked transmission. EN0YPT. Dead. Jack stared at it. Someone's tracking us. Soraya walked over slowly, her body stiffening, her eyes locked on the screen. That is a Drex signal, she said quietly. Jack blinked. Drex. Who are they? She closed her eyes. The ones who sealed me and sold me. Jack's pulse quickened. He didn't know much about galactic crime rings, but even he had heard of the Drex syndicate. Slavers, smugglers, and killers. They didn't let things go easily. Did you turn something on? He asked carefully. Soraya looked away, ashamed. I only wished to send a message. To anyone still alive from my world? Jack sighed and rubbed his face. Of course, she hadn't meant to do harm. She was just trying to reach home, whatever home meant for her. But now someone dangerous knew where she was. We need to shut that signal down, Jack said, grabbing his toolkit. I'll rip out every wire if I have to. I can help, Soraya said, walking toward the ship. I was built to know the ship. They both stepped into the cargo vessel once again. As they worked side by side, Jack realized something strange. Soraya wasn't just useful, she was smart. She moved like she felt the ship's systems instead of reading them. She could sense energy paths, adjust circuits by instinct. Finally, the beacon died out, the screen turned black, and the signal disappeared. Jack leaned back and exhaled. Let's hope no one saw it, he muttered, but in the far reaches of space. Someone already had. Back inside the workshop, Soraya stood near the wall, watching him quietly. You saved me from the ship, she said. Now, I will protect you from what comes. Jack looked at her, the glowing symbol still on his palm. She wasn't just a guest anymore, and whatever was coming, he had a feeling it wouldn't knock on the door first. The night was too quiet, even the wind had stopped moving outside Jack's garage. Inside, the only sound was the soft hum of the alien ship's cooling systems and the gentle clicking of tools on metal. Jack was under the ship's main panel, trying to reroute the wiring that controlled power to the communications core. He wiped sweat from his forehead with a greasy glove. "Last thing we need is another signal going out," he mumbled. But as careful as he was, it was already too late. Upstairs, Soraya stood motionless, eyes closed, hands flat on the wall of the ship. Her breathing slowed. Something was calling her deep in the ship's systems. It was a code, a rhythm she couldn't resist. Before she even realized what she was doing, her fingers moved. She touched a glowing panel hidden behind the ship's wall. A soft chime echoed. Then, a deep blue light flared behind her eyes. The ship woke up. Not completely, but just enough. A beacon, long buried and sealed, blinked to life. Bounty ID. Valari Bioki 1 transmission sent to Drex network highest priority alert. Activate Araya. Gasped and fell backward, her back hitting the wall. She looked down at her hands like they were strangers. "No," she whispered. "I didn't mean to." Below her, Jack sat up as his screen blinked red. Unauthorized signal broadcast detected. Source: internal system pulse coordinates locked. Bounty inbound, son of a... He jumped up, grabbed his coat, and ran upstairs. He found Soraya curled against the wall, eyes wide with guilt. "I didn't mean to," she said softly. I was trying to remember who I am." Jack stared at the blinking screen on the wall, then at her. "You triggered a bounty signal," he said, voice tense. "Who the hell is coming now?" Soraya looked down, voice trembling. "The Drex. Or worse. Bounty hunters. They have been searching for me for a long time. I thought I could reach someone from my people. But I awakened a beacon hidden in my DNA." Jack blinked. "In your DNA? You're carrying tech inside you." Nodded. "I was made that way," she said quietly. "I am a Valeri Bioki, one of the last." Jack stepped back, trying to make sense of it all. "So you're not just some prisoner. You're a key to something." Soraya looked up, eyes full of pain. "They created me to open the vault," she said. "I don't even know what's inside it, but the Drex believe it holds power they can use to rule the galaxy." Jack cursed. Under his breath, this wasn't just about buying a ship anymore. This was about running for their lives. "Pack your things," he said quickly. "We're leaving." Soraya blinked. "Where will we go?" "I have a place outside city zones," Jack said. "An old fuel depot nobody visits anymore. We'll hide there until I figure out how to kill that signal for good." Just then, outside the garage, a strange low hum filled the air. Jack froze. That wasn't Earth tech. He rushed to the window and looked up. A small dark shape hovered above the scrapyard, silent, metallic, and definitely alien. One red eye pulsed underneath its belly, scanning the area. "Too late," Jack whispered. "They're already here." He turned to Soraya, grabbed her wrist. "We move now." They ran out the back, ducking behind metal piles and rusted engine parts. The ship above scanned slowly, not rushing. It knew its prize was near. Jack reached the hidden passage behind his garage, an old tunnel that led to the canyon beyond. He shoved open the steel grate and pushed Soraya inside first. "Go, now." As she crawled in, her hand brushed against his arm. The symbol on his palm flared brighter than before. Jack felt something heat. Pressure. And memory. For a moment, he saw a flash. A massive alien vault floating in space, doors covered in golden glyphs. Soraya standing before it, glowing like a sun. Then it was gone. Jack pulled himself into the tunnel and slammed the grate behind them. Above, the bounty drone scanned again, but its prize had vanished. Inside the tunnel, Jack panted. "Okay. So now I'm being hunted because I accidentally bought a woman who's actually a living space key." Soraya looked at him, eyes full of emotion. "You didn't buy me," she said softly. "You gave me freedom." Jack stared at her, breathing hard. "Well, freedom's gonna get us killed if we don't stay 3 steps ahead. But first I need answers, Soraya. What exactly are you meant to unlock?" Soraya looked down, then back up. "I'm not sure," she whispered, "but I know this Sif, the Drex get there before us. Everything will burn." The desert winds howled over the cracked earth. Jack's old fuel depot sat low between the dunes, half buried, rusted, and forgotten. It was the perfect hideout, quiet. Far from the city, and covered in enough junk to fool satellites inside, Soraya sat on the floor. Wrapping a wire around a broken translator unit, her fingers moved. With smooth precision, Jack watched her from across the room, his old plasma rifle on his lap. She's not just some escaped slave. He whispered to himself. She's a damn miracle. He looked down at his hand. The glowing symbol had changed again, 3 rings, now circled it. Each one pulsing slowly. He didn't know what they meant, but every time Soraya touched him, the mark got brighter. Suddenly, the depot's power flickered. The lights dimmed, then snapped back on. Jack stood up fast. That's not a good sign, he muttered. Soraya froze, eyes narrowing. I feel something. She whispered, they're close, before Jack could ask. The sound of engines roared outside, low, growling hums. Not like any human ship. He rushed to the window. Heart pounding. 3 dark slaver dropships were landing just beyond the ridge, kicking up red dust as they came down. Damn it, Jack hissed. They tracked the old signal. Soraya stood beside him now, calm but alert. We must not let them take me, she said quietly. If they do, the vault will open for them. Jack glanced at her. You're not going anywhere, princess, he said, grabbing his gear. He passed her a small pulse grenade. Ever used one of these? She gave a soft smile. Not in this lifetime, she said. But I can learn fast. The depot shook as the first ship touched down outside. Masked Drex slavers spread out in tight formation, tall, armored, and holding blasters crackling. With red energy, their leader stepped forward. A scarred creature with 4 eyes and a metal jaw, he raised a speaker device to his mouth. Human. He shouted in broken earth tongue. You hold property that belongs to the syndicate. Turn it over and you live. Jack stepped up to the roof, aimed his plasma rifle, and shouted back. Come take her if you're that stupid. The answer came fast. Laser blasts scorched the building's walls. The battle had begun. Jack ducked down as the first blast nearly took his head off. Soraya moved like lightning, throwing the grenade. It rolled under one of the dropships and exploded with a flash, knocking two Drex off their feet. Smoke filled the air. Sparks danced through the depot. Jack fired round after round. He wasn't military, but years of junkyard defense gave him quick hands and dirty tricks. Soraya ducked. Behind him, chanting softly, Jack glanced back. Her hands glowed, energy forming at her fingertips. What are you doing? He shouted. Something I was never allowed to do, she said. Fight back. Then she stood and released a shockwave. A ring of white-blue light burst from her palms, knocking back a full squad of Drex slavers, their weapons shorted out. Their armor cracked open like eggshells. Jack stared in awe. Remind me never to piss you off. But the slaver leader wasn't down yet. He stepped into the depot, eyes glowing red. He grabbed Jack by the throat, lifting him off the ground. With one hand, you dare touch what belongs to us? He growled. Soraya screamed and launched herself forward. Her hand touched the slaver's face, and a burst of energy surged through his skull. He collapsed instantly, smoking and unconscious. Jack coughed, falling to his knees. Soraya knelt beside him, checking his pulse. You're okay, she said softly, voice shaking. You stayed, even when they came for me. Jack nodded, breathing hard. Guess I'm just too stubborn to give up. Outside, the few remaining Drex ran for their dropships. They weren't ready for a Valeri who could fight. They weren't ready for a human who wouldn't sell her. Out, the depot was quiet again. Jack leaned back against a wall covered in dust and blood. He looked at Soraya, her hair glowing, her skin shimmering, her hands still pulsing with light. You really are something else, he whispered. She smiled faintly. So are you. Then her smile faded. This was only the first wave, she said. The signal was sent. More will come. Jack nodded slowly. Then we don't wait, he said. We run but not to hide. He stood, looking toward the horizon. We find that vault before they do. Soraya looked at him with something deeper than trust, something like fate. Together, she asked. Jack nodded. Yeah, he said. Together. The stars above them stretched like frozen fire. Jack's ship, once just scrap metal, now glided through orbit with silent power. Soraya stood by the viewing window, her silver blue skin glowing under the starlight. She looked peaceful, but inside, she was shaking. Jack sat across from her, staring at a small blinking scanner on the control desk. "Your energy signature," he muttered. "It's off the charts?" Soraya didn't speak right away. She just watched the stars and said softly, "I didn't want you to know what I am." Jack leaned forward. "I think I already do," he said. "You're not just an escaped slave. You're more than that." Soraya turned to face him, her eyes glowing faintly. "I wasn't born," she said. "I was built." Jack blinked. "Built." She nodded. "My people, what's left of them, created me using ancient tech. I was made to be a living key." She stepped forward and pointed to the glowing mark still on Jack's palm, that bond. "It's not a mistake," she said. "It means you are the one who can help me finish my purpose." Jack shook his head slowly. "Why me? I'm just a junk man." "No," Soraya said, kneeling beside him. "You're the first person who didn't try to use me, that made the mark choose you." She placed her palm on his chest again. In that moment, a flash of images struck Jack's mind like lightning in his brain. He saw a dark world orbiting a dying star. He saw a vault, a massive sphere carved from black stone, floating in space. Its surface shimmered with golden glyphs. And in front of it stood Soraya, her body glowing, her hands open like she was singing to it. Then explosion, chaos, fire, and silence. Jack gasped, stepping back. "What was that?" Soraya looked away. "The vault," she said quietly. "My creators hid something inside it. Knowledge, power, maybe even life itself, I don't know. But the Drex believe it's a weapon." Jack paced across the room, trying to breathe. "So we're flying towards something no one understands. And everyone wants to control." Soraya stood and followed him. "If we don't get there first," she said, "the galaxy could fall into darkness." Jack turned to her, his eyes sharp now. "Then tell me everything, no more secrets." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "When I was created, my body was fused with ancient nanotech. She said it lives inside me. I don't control it, but when I'm near the vault, it activates. I'm the last of my kind who can do that." She pulled down part of her tunic and revealed glowing lines running across her collarbone, like alien circuitry under her skin. "They're not tattoos," she said. "They're alive." Jack stared, stunned. "You've been carrying this? Alone?" Soraya smiled sadly. "For a long time, yes." He stepped closer. "Well, not anymore," he said. "We're doing this together." Suddenly, the ship's console beeped. Jack rushed over and hit the display. The screen showed a map, red dots moving across the outer edge of the solar system. "Drex scouts," he muttered. "They're searching." Soraya walked to his side. "They'll follow us all the way to the vault," she said. "They won't stop." Jack turned to her, his voice calm but serious. "Then we get there first, but once we do," Soraya whispered, "I don't know what will happen." Jack placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "We figure it out," he said, step by step. She looked up at him, her eyes softer now, more human. "You weren't supposed to be part of this," she said. Jack smiled. Too late now. He turned back to the console, pulling up the old nav map Soraya had stored in her memory. Coordinates to a place only she could lead him too far beyond known star routes, where no human ship had ever flown. They were heading into the dark, chased by slavers, hunted by bounty hunters, flying toward a vault that could either save or destroy everything. But for the first time in years, Soraya wasn't alone, and Jaquant's just a man who fixed scrap was now holding the future in his hands. The stars ahead were cold, but behind them, fire was coming. Asterisk, the sky over Earth wasn't calm anymore. It burned. Flashes of red fire lit up the upper atmosphere. Drex ships moved like shadows, fast, silent, deadly. They had found the trail, and they were closing in. Jack sat in the pilot's seat of the newly awakened alien ship, fingers shaking as he tried to understand the strange control symbols. The console wasn't made for humans, but somehow the ship responded to him because of her. Behind him, Soraya placed her hand on the glowing panel, her voice calm but urgent. I've linked your nervous system to the ship, she said. You think? It flies. Jack blinked. You're kidding. She shook her head. No, outside the depot. A thunderous roar shook the ground. The Drex had landed, and they weren't coming to talk. We need to go now, Soraya said. Jack focused, placing. His hand flat on the center panel. The ship shivered, then hummed. Jack's eyes widened as the controls lit up around him. He felt it not with his hands, but with his mind, like the ship became part of him. He thought, up, and the ship lifted smooth as silk. Outside, Drex soldiers fired plasma bursts. But the energy shields flared and held. Inside, everything was. Shaking as Jack pushed the thought. Faster, the ship screamed upward, breaking through clouds in seconds. Then, silence. They had left Earth's gravity below them. Blue and green swirled together. Above stars and freedom, Jack leaned back, breathing hard. I can't believe we made it, he said. Soraya didn't relax. They will follow, she whispered. They always follow. Jack looked at the radar screen, red dots blinking everywhere. Dozens of Drex ships had launched into orbit. Fanning out to intercept them, he narrowed his eyes. Time to test what this ship can really do. He reached into the controls, mentally. And something deep in the ship responded. Wings folded back. Engines flared brighter. The stars outside stretched light, became ribbons. Hyperjump in 5 seconds, Soraya said, gripping the edge of the console. Where? Jack asked. Soraya looked at him, her voice soft but sure. To the vault, Jack nodded. Let's go. The ship tore through space. In a blink, Earth disappeared. Stars warped around them. Time slowed, stretched. And snapped, they landed in orbit around a dead star. Black and silent, and just beyond it, floating alone in the dark, was a massive sphere, 20 kilometers wide. Its surface shimmered with ancient carvings, glowing like faint fire. Soraya stared, her voice barely a whisper. We're here. Jack looked at the vault in awe. It didn't look like a weapon. It looked like a memory, frozen in time. But the moment they arrived, alarms blared. Lights flashed across the controls. Enemy signature detected, hostile ships inbound. Jack turned the scanner. No, he breathed. They followed us through the jump. Soraya's face hardened. They must have locked onto my energy. On the screen, 6 Drex warships entered orbit, massive, black and bristling with weapons. One of them opened. Comes, a cruel voice filled the ship. You've run far enough, human. Give us the biokey and we may let you live. Jack slammed the controls. Not happening. The Drex ships charged their weapons. Preparing to fire, Soraya walked to the center of the room. Her skin glowed brighter, her circuits pulsing like fire under her skin. I have to open the vault, she said. It's the only way to end this. Jack turned to her. What's inside? What if it's worse than them? She looked him in the eyes. I don't know, she said honestly, but I believe. It's not death. It's something waiting to protect this galaxy. Jack took her hand. Then let's open it together. Soraya stepped forward. The ship lowering toward the vault's surface. As they approached, a beam of golden light rose from the vault, scanning them. The symbol on Jack's hand lit up once more, connecting to hers, and the vault answered. Its surface shifted, the glyphs moving like water. A doorway opened wide, glowing endless. Behind them, Drex ships fired. Blasts screamed toward them, but just before the impact, the ship vanished into the vault. The ship floated inside the vault like a speck in a giant golden sea. There was no gravity, no time, no sound, only light, soft and endless, coming from walls that were alive. Jack stepped out of the ship, boots landing on something that looked like glass, but felt like nothing at all. He looked around in awe. The vault wasn't a building. It was a memory. A living dream beside him. Soraya moved slowly, her skin glowing brighter than ever. The lines under her skin pulsed in perfect rhythm with the vault. This place, she whispered. It knows me. Jack reached for her hand. The moment he touched her, the entire vault responded. Lights rippled through the floor. The walls shimmered. A deep sound like a song from 1,000 years ago echoed around them. From the center of the vault, a beam of pure light rose upward. It scanned Soraya from head to toe, then turned to Jack, and then spoke, not in words, but in emotion, warmth, trust, acceptance, and behind it, all a choice. Soraya turned to Jack. Her eyes were wet now, full of things she hadn't said. "This is why I exist," she said softly. "To find the one who chooses not to use me, but stand beside me." Jack stepped forward. "What happens now?" he asked. Her voice trembled. "I can unlock the vault," she said, "but it requires one last link. A bond of will, not force." Jack hesitated. "You mean a real connection?" Soraya nodded. "No more symbols, no more contracts," she said. "It has to be your heart." Jack looked at her. This woman who wasn't born, who was created to be a tool, but who smiled, laughed, bled, and protected him. She wasn't a thing. She was herself. He took her hands. "I don't want a key," he said quietly. "I want you, Soraya." And for the first time since she'd awakened, Soraya smiled without fear. Tears slid down her silver cheeks. "You have me," she whispered. Their hands touched. The symbol on Jack's palm burned white. The light wrapped around them. Spinning, pulling, lifting, the vault opened. A storm of stars swirled above them. Not weapons, not machines' life. Seeds of light, billions of them, scattered through the dark. Each one holding knowledge, healing, power meant to protect, not destroy. Jack could feel the weight of it pressing into his mind. History from ancient civilizations, maps of lost worlds, energy that could light up galaxies. It wasn't war, it was hope, but outside. The Dreks weren't done, their ships had surrounded the vault, weapons powered up, preparing to blast it into pieces. Inside, Soraya fell to her knees. The vault. "It can defend itself," she said, "but it needs a command." Jack helped her stand. "You're the key," he said. She shook her head. "No," she whispered. "We are, together." They stepped into the center beam. Single command, pure and clear, code through the vault, protect in an instant. A shield of energy burst outward. The Drek ships were pushed away like dust in a storm. Their weapons melted, their engines shut down. One by one, they fell into silence, floating powerless in orbit. Inside the vault, Soraya collapsed into Jack's arms. Her glow faded to soft silver. "I've done my part," she whispered. "Now I want to live. It's not as a key, but as a person." Jack held her close. "No more running," he said. "No more chains. Later." The vault released them. The ship, now fully awakened, turned them to space. But something had changed. Jack wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He had seen something no other human ever had. He had stood at the edge of history and chose love over power. And Soraya, the girl made to obey, now stood free, her own voice, her own heart. And when Jack turned to her and asked quietly, "So, what now, partner?" she smiled. "I heard Earth has a tradition," she said softly, "when two souls choose each other." Jack blinked, then laughed. "Are you proposing to me?" Soraya stepped closer, eyes bright. "I don't know the words," she said, "but I know the feeling. I want to belong not as a tool, but as your equal, as your bride." Jack grinned. "Well," he said, "then I guess I didn't just win a spaceship." He pulled her into his arms. "I won you, and among the stars, two lives once broken chose to start something brand new, together."